talk because David has actually helped convert a large printing company into more or less a digital agency and augmented reality specialist. Thanks, David. Take it away.
Thanks, Scott. Okay. Am I mic'd up? Or am I? I'll do this anyway. Yeah. All right, fantastic to be here, and thank you so much to Westpac for having us here. It's really exciting for Scott and myself, who've been in this industry for a few years now, to see it really come of age. What I'm going to talk about in this lightning session is Millennial Disruption, new communication platforms and creative frontiers, because there are whole new ways to communicate, and there is a generation coming through that expects to be communicated with differently. So I'm going to be talking about the new creative, the platforms, the friction, and the evidence. So on the right there, I don't know if you've seen any of the posters that were around a touch earlier, but there was actually this Millennial Disruption Index and a massive study done over in the US, about 30,000 respondents, I think, talking about how they feel about banks and financial institutions, funnily enough. And one of the things that really stood out to me is this phrase: I don't see the difference between my bank and all the others. And the concept of seeing, what is it to see? What is it to witness? That's where we are in this speech right now, where I want to talk about the ways that we actually witness information and remember. So here's the new creative. Interesting quote here by a gentleman who did a very big film and did it all thinking about 3D. And he said, and he's an amazing man, Ang Lee, when he created The Life of Pi, he's just learning how to do this 3D thing. It is a brand new space. It's spatially referenced information. And ultimately, it just makes sense. In fact, his cinematographer, I saw him interviewed, actually said, he said, we shot it in 3D because that's the way we see the real world. So why wouldn't people expect that? Seems to make sense. So there's this legacy of all these 2D filmmakers like the amazing Stanley Kubrick up there who would frame a shot, and people go to me, how do I do a close-up? How do I do a pan? How do I do a wide shot in augmented reality? And I'm like, just move in, move to the side, move around. It's like the real world. And I've put Peter Brook in the bottom corner there because this whole new space is more like theatre. And I know a lot of people in the AR and VR worlds who are employing theatre directors to do experiences because they understand. So even Spielberg says here that, you know, ultimately, this is this whole brand new area, and it's really exciting for Hollywood. It's super exciting for filmmakers because it really creates that incredible empathy. And I want to point out Shakespeare, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players, from As You Like It. Now, with all the players in the world and everyone moving around in 3D, we're just still doing 2D, the way we communicate with people. And what's really funny is the image on the right there, if you look at that, that's Trip to the Moon, one of the first films ever made, about 1901. They didn't know how to make film, so they made it like theatre. And now people, as Scott mentioned before about the Harry Potter thing, people are trying to put TV and screens into augmented reality. It's a whole new space. It has its whole new sort of thought process. So this is an amazing guy called Greg Tran. I really admire this guy. I contacted him recently because he was one of the senior guys at Samsung, and now he's in Magic Leap, which is an amazing company if you know anything about it. 600 million, 520 from Google. And he talks about digital 3D. How up there in the top right corner, digital 2D, moving something 3D around on the screen, that's not 3D at all. And watch this video if you get a chance, just Google it, Greg Tran, Mediating Mediums. Amazing guy. So millennials don't want to sit back and watch. They don't want to tap and swipe web pages. That's so 2007. They want to be let in to see so they can look around and create their own journey, their own persona. If you think about social, it's about creating their own persona. It's about having control. And AR gives you control.
And live in that world.
Here is one of the most famous animators from Disney who created Beauty and the Beast and, gosh, a whole bunch of other characters. And here he is actually painting in VR, and he's talking about just what an incredible experience it is that he can paint Ariel in full life size and move around her.
North, south, east,
and how he wishes he had this before.
Are open now.
Again, Glenn Keane's Future of Storytelling VR. Look it up. Amazing video. But I'm in a lightning round. So the main stage. This is the stage that we're looking at right now. We've got all these devices coming out next year. Next year is VR. AR will still develop. We're doing a bunch of it, but VR is going to be the game. And yes, Google Glass is coming. Finally, it never died. Anyway. And here are all the AR devices that are also being worked on and coming out right now. There's a hell of a lot of them, and there's quite some pretty big brands there. So that's going to be the stages. But really, what is the friction that's holding this thing back? Why isn't it mainstream? Well, to me, it's just awareness. No one's telling people about this. And I see Amber nodding her head. Amber's done a bunch of campaigns. No one's telling. No one ever gets disappointed. I've done so many campaigns, seen jaws drop, and everyone's like, oh, we're worried about telling people just in case it doesn't work. But when you tell people, like Carrefour did over in France, you get massive results. They had TVCs, they had radio, they had 1.7 million activations, 150,000 uniques, 120,000 photos and social shares, 50,000 AR click-throughs, 85 seconds averaged dwell time per activation. That's years and years of people looking at the brand, and all Minions collateral and clothing sold out. One thing we did for NetApp at the end of last year at the Gartner conference, we had 1/3 of this whole conference engaged with AR because you can see the strong journey we had there, and we did heaps of awareness. No one was disappointed. We had 250 qualified leads for NetApp. It beat their campaign objective by 1,250%. Cadillac 4D, people in situ showing other people how to activate AR, creating that awareness. They had 56,000 in-person engagements over about 8 days, I think it was. So millennials simply don't see your brand if you don't think different and communicate different. There's this whole amazing new area of creativity. There's a new conversation to be had. You just have to start your journey. Thank you.